This video will cover section 8.2 of chapter 8, cross-section labeling and area volumes. This part here is the adding and removing annotation of cross-sections. Go through an exercise here that will explain how to do it, and we will run through it. Annotations of cross-sections are automatic when first processing, but if changes happen to the corridor or profile, the annotation does not update. The following steps will demonstrate how to remove and apply annotation if changes occur to the corridor or profile after cross-sections have been created. So what it's boiled down to is the cross-sections are not dynamic. So in this example, there is an area where the ditch backslope exceeds the right-of-way. We will use a parametric constraint to bring the backslope within the right-of-way limits. Okay, so you can see over in my 2D view over here, I have the corridor for Route 54 open up. You can see here's my right-of-way line. You can see right now I'm over that. So I just want to bring this in so it's within my right-of-way. When I do that, my cross-section slopes will change. So the things that we just did in the last chapter, all that annotation, it will be wrong. Okay, so we'll look at that. So the first step is to open the corridors for Route 54. I have it open in the background. You may have the cross-section file open. You want to open the corridors. Next thing we want to do is open the template drop for Route 54 using the heads-up display tool. Okay, we're going to open that up. So go back over my 2D view. Template drops that magenta dashed line. We're going to select it. Get our heads-up displays. And we're going to do Edit Template. So we got that on. The next thing we want to do is in the right ditch component, we want to open the point properties of the right ditch backslope. Okay, so let's look at our template drop that we have open. Of course, that is this. And we're talking about the right ditch component, which is on the right side of this template. This is the right ditch component, and this is our right ditch backslope 1T. So we'll open that up. Okay. Go back to the exercise. It says edit the label, the parametric label, to add the prefix right to the ditch backslope 1 slope label. So we're going to change it and add this RT to the beginning of it. So let's go over to that point properties. We'll come down to the label section of it. You have to remember how this hierarchy works with the points. So first it'll look at this two constraints here, and then if there's a parametric constraint, it will override these constraints. So we're going to put a slope in here. Slope says 16.67. Later on we want to change that slope, and to override that we will change this label, and then look for this label later when we create a parametric constraint. So right in front of the ditch backslope 1 slope, and we'll hit apply to that. Okay, go back to the manual, and it kind of shows you here that we're going to add 3 parametric constraints to the Route 54 corridor as shown below. Okay, screenshot probably needs to be up there. But this is showing you here's the point that we wanted to edit. That's the name of the point. Here's the label after it's been changed. To create a parametric constraint, what we're going to do is we're going to go out and select the corridor, gets the heads-up display, run along it, and go down to the hammer tool, and then come down to parametric constraints. So let's go over into MicroStation and do that. So I've already applied this, so I'm going to just go ahead and close it, and then I'm going to hit OK. Now it's going to process, even though we just added a named parametric constraint label to it, but it will process. Okay, so corridor's been processed. Nothing's really big has changed. Okay, so let's get to that, adding those labels. So parametric constraint tool, you can highlight your corridor however you want. If you've got the 3D reference turned on in the background like I do here, you can just select anywhere on it, get your heads up. Go out to the quarter creation tools, hit the pull down, and we'll go down to that create parametric constraint. Okay, once we open it up, the tool's available. I'm going to uncheck my start and stops. Okay. I'm going to go back to the manual, and I want to be able to see these values. So I'm going to move my Word document over a little bit, and what I want to see is we're going to start with a parametric constraint, and we're going to taper it out to 25%. So we're going to go from 16% down to 20 out to 25%, and then we're going to travel a distance, and then add in of 25%. We're going to do that, and then we're going to taper back in, transition back in for it. So 3 parametric constraints to get this to work. Once you've got this label in there, it makes it quite simple. So move this over a little bit. I'll go back out to my MicroStation. I'm going to minimize my screen a little bit, just enough so I could see those numbers in Word, so I can put the values in. So that first constraint is at 612 plus 50. So you can either do it in the tool, the dialog, or you can go out on your screen and do it. I'll just go ahead and key it in on the screen. So 612 plus 50. Always give that region that you're in, and we're in region 2, so I'm going to lock that in by hitting the enter key. Move my mouse around. I see it's locked in. It doesn't take effect till you left click to accept it, so I'm going to left click in a blank area. That way I don't snap to anything. So I'll just left click. It wants to know my stop station, so from the manual we can see it's 612 plus 80. I'll key that in. Again, that's region 2. Lock that in, move the mouse around, and we'll go ahead and left click to accept that. Now it's looking for the label, so we're going to go back up to the dialog and hit the pull down, and we're going to scroll around till we find that right ditch backslope 1 slope. We want to control that slope, or override what the template has. So we'll pick that one. When you do, you'll notice it picks up the default value that was in that template. Our backslope had a 16.67% slope. So on our cursor, we need to accept that's the label that we want to use. So we'll go ahead and accept that. And then the start station, or the start slope that we want to use, as you can see from the manual, is 16.67, and we're going to go out to 25%. So we'll go ahead and accept that 16.67. And then for our stop value, we'll key in 25%, lock it in. You still have to go out and accept it. We'll go left click it. Once you accept that, you can see in the 2D a little bit when it's done. And then we'll go ahead and start with the next one. So next one is 612 plus 80. And we're going to go region 2 as well. Lock that in. Move our mouse and accept it. And that's where we're starting now. Stop station will be 615 plus 26. Region 2. Lock it in. Go ahead and left click to accept it. And since we picked the label already, it's on our cursor. We go ahead and accept that. And then our start value will not be 16% because, again, it'll put the default value. We want to go 25% for the manual for the stop and start, or the start stop slopes. 25%. Lock that value in for the start and accept it in a blank area. Stop at 25. Left click to accept it, and you'll see in our 2D it's brought it back quite a lot. You can also see out in the 3D, although I'm more of an isometric view, but you can see that it's brought it within the right of way. So that's pretty cool. What we need to do now is finish tapering back off and get rid of that little jog we got there. Okay, so we'll go to 615 plus 26. Region 2. We'll go ahead and lock that in, accept it in a blank area, and we're going to finish it at 616 plus 00. We'll do a region 2 as well on that. Lock it in, accept it, same constraint label, And our start value is going to be 25%. So we'll key that in. We want it to start at 25 and accept it. And our stop value will be the default 16.67. So we'll go ahead and left click to accept that. And you can see the background when it's done processing that it makes it look real nice through there. And we're within our right of way. So we're good to go. Once we've done those three labels, we can go ahead and F4, clear the tool out, and let's go back to the manual. Let's see what we got here. So that's all three of the parametric constraints. And it's showing you in this this little screenshot that since they've been applied, you can see that we have made it with inside the right of way and we're good to go. The next thing we need to do is open up our cross-section file. So we're in our corridors file, so we'll do a file, open, browse, and we're looking for that cross-section Route 54, and we'll open that up. And we'll check in the changes that we made in the corridors file. We ran cross sections in the last chapter, so you'll see your annotations out there. And let's see, as soon as this, let's just check this in. But we're going to go back and fix that annotation because it's not dynamic. So we just made a change here. Slopes out there should reflect that slope, but it won't. It'll be what it used to be. Now, it's dynamic in the aspect that the slope has changed, but the annotation's not changed. So we're really wanting to look around 614 or so. Let's go back to the manual. We want to navigate to the 614 region 2 view drawing model. And let's set it, there's a notice there. It says that the slopes have changed according to the parametric constraint that was added, but the annotation has not been updated. The annotation wasn't showing before since the point was on the slope wasn't within the view, but now the slope is solving the view, but the annotation is still missing and did not update automatically. So let's go to that. Let's go look at that view. So we want to go to 614, and you'll have to notice that there's some sheet views and there's drawing views. Okay, and this I'm going to go to the drawing view. You can't edit the sheet view. It'll show what's in the drawing view, but we want to go to the 614 drawing view. Open that up and you can see what we've got out here. Okay, so you can see out here on the right side, here's my ditch. My slope's been brought in. There's no label on it. Now before that slope was going way out, like it describes in the manual, it was going so far out that it didn't show up on the sheet. So it was on the grid. So it was out here. When it's like that, it won't label. Okay, so the point has to be in play for it to label. So now it is, but again, annotation is not automatic. So let's go back to the manual. It wants us to select the remove model annotation option from the model annotation pull down. So to get there, we need to be in the workflow of open rows modeling, which we are, but we're going to change our tab to this drawing production, and we're looking for the ribbon called model annotation. Okay, and there's a pull down on these ribbons. So we go back to MicroStation, open rows modeling, drawing production, and we want to go to model annotation. We're going to hit the pull down on that, and then get to this remove model annotations option, which brings us to a small dialog. Back to the manual. The heads up tool will show an option to either affect all drawing models by choosing yes or no. So you can either just remove the annotation from this one model that you're in, or you can remove them for all of them. In this exercise, we're going to go ahead and do them all. Okay. And the next screenshot is just showing us what it looks like after the annotation's been removed. So you can see, here's our annotation. I've got the dialog open. It's on my cursor. To change that, you can hit the up-down arrows on your keyboard to yes. That toggles on all drawing, or you can hit the toggle either way. But I'm going to accept this in a blank area.
And it's going to go out and it's going to go through all the models that we created before and remove them. So there's no annotation in the models whatsoever. Okay, so once we've removed them, now we want to annotate them. So we'll select the Annotate Model option from the Model Annotation pull-down. So we're back to that same pull-down, which is here, and you'll notice the icon changed. Again, the last tool that you use will be the button up top. So we need to annotate the model, so we'll select Annotate Model. We'll move off into a blank area here. And I'm going to go back to the manual. So selected it. The heads-up tool will show you an option for to either affect all drawing models again or not. In this case, we want to do yes. And this will open the heads-up display where selected the Alt down will allow browsing for annotation groups, which will give you a couple options for annotation. So we'll go over here. We've got this. We're going to change it to yes. So we'll hit the, I'm going to hit the arrows on my keyboard to yes. We'll go ahead and accept it. And then the option that we had on the exercise is to take the excess annotation with grid. So I'll go back over here. Now again, it's Alt down as it says on my cursor, Alt down to open it up, or you can hit the little button with the triple dots. I'll hit that. And since I'm running dual monitors, it shoots off to the other screen. So it'll bring you to the cross-section folder. You need to open that up. You only have drawing underneath that, so we'll open that as well. And you've got three different options in here, and we're going to use excess annotation with grid. You can do it without grid, and then we have one for end area volumes, which we'll talk about later when we get to that chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this annotation with grid. I'll go out in a blank area and left click to accept it. And it's going to go out and it's going to annotate all our models. Now it'll take a little bit of time in the background as it goes through each model. But when it's finished, you can see all our annotations back, and now this slope over on the right side has a label to it, that 4 to 1. You'll also see it's got the elevation offset on the point where it ties into ground. So let's go back to this, and it's explaining just what I was talking about. So this is just the breakout view. Zoom in, you got your 4 to 1, got your elevation offset. So it worked as designed, and that is the end of this exercise.